Yeah, no doubt about that, Olivia. Thank you. The city of Chandler now offering cryptocurrency as a payment option for residents to pay their utility bills. So what is cryptocurrency? How does it work? And is this going to be a trend that we start seeing everywhere? Joining us this morning is Anthony Cosentino, investment advisor representative at Wilde Wealth Management Group. So Anthony, good morning to you. We're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And if you're sitting at home going, what is all this stuff? You're not alone, right?
Right. Yeah, so Bitcoin essentially, I mean, nowadays, the way that it's thought of is cash, right? But it's an electronic version of cash that ideally you can use to now pay for without any sort of intermediary, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's founded based on blockchain technology, which more complicated than, we need to talk about today. But at the end of the day, what it does is it allows us to not use one financial intermediary to process these transactions, right? It's a little bit more of a direct individual to individual so that I can pay you directly, but essentially an electronic version of cash.
Yeah, it's kind of a virtual thing, right? It's nothing that you can touch.
Completely virtual, nothing that you're going to hold in your hands by any means. Right?
Now, let me say, you don't invest in Bitcoin because you think it's too volatile right now, right?
Yeah, so, it's hard to say, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, it's not to say that it's too volatile. It just, depending on the investor and your time horizon and your risk tolerance, it is looked at more of an investment than, a specific cash holding, just because it does vary widely on a day-to-day basis. So
the city of Chandler doing this, I find that very interesting. I mean, does that mean that this is the wave of the future, you think?
I do think so, to some extent, right? I mean, it's going to take time before it really institutionalizes across the board. There's a lot of regulation that needs to take place still, and, so a lot of changes that I think will have to happen. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, electronic currencies and kind of this decentralization and this blockchain technology, I think it really is a way of the future. It's just, how long does it take us to get there?
What do you like and not like about Bitcoin? I'm reading, first of all, that, you can get fraud protection from credit cards, but Bitcoin you cannot, right?
Right. So, the benefits that you have with cash is that cash is in your hands, right? You know it's there. The value is going to stay stable, right? So that's going to be something that is not going to change, right? Credit cards, you've got fraud protection. You can get miles if you buy things, right? All those types of things that we know. When it comes to Bitcoin, that's not going to be the same. Now, the benefit of Bitcoin is that it's person to person. So there's no merchant fees. There's no intermediaries, nothing like that. So it is a true person-to-person, and from a security perspective, if one institution goes down, right, you're not going to be in that situation because Bitcoin is held across a vast network of computers. Right?
It seems like you get charged everywhere with credit card usage now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the idea behind Bitcoin, is that it takes away a lot of that, because it is a peer-to-peer transaction, and so that money comes from me straight to you, and it's not something that you have to go through a lot of these other intermediaries to make sure it takes place or avoid fees or whatever the case may be.
So Bitcoin, if you leave it from an investment point of view, that can be volatile, but when you cash out, so to speak, then it's stable, correct?
Right, and I think that's the issue with Bitcoin as a form of payment at the moment is, if you have $1 and you want to go buy something that costs $1, you can afford it, right? Whereas if you have Bitcoin, if you have X amount of Bitcoin and it's going to cost a certain amount, if the price drops overnight, now you might not have enough, right? So I think Bitcoin from an investment perspective is different than Bitcoin as a transaction, right?
Okay.
And I think that's what will be curious to see over time.
Yeah, so I also mentioned Ethereum and Litecoin. What are those things?
Yeah, so it sounds like City of Chandler's allowing all three to be used as payment. It's they're just variations, right? So Bitcoin was the original, and then there's many that have gone beyond that. You hear of Dogecoin, right? So a lot of the ones in the news, but it's just versions of Bitcoin that were created to essentially fix the problems that Bitcoin may have, or whatever the case may be from a technology standpoint. But all of them are going to be essentially versions of the same thing. Okay.
Well, Anthony, thanks for answering some of those questions. I think it's really interesting. We'll see if some of the other cities follow.
Yep.
You never know.
Hard to know.
Yeah, thank you so much for your insight. Appreciate it.